Election day. Tuesday is election day. Vote for Eric Adams, mayor. Mayoral Lewis, the councilwoman.
What's your take on what's going on within the Jewish community with Eric Adams and Yang?
Well, of course, it's very exciting. The last weekend of the campaign, and the excitement is up in the air, and everybody's looking forward to the campaign. There's no question. There's not even a question of who the Jewish community not only endorsed, but who they're going to vote for. There's no question they're going to vote for Eric Adams. Eric Adams has been a fervent supporter of the Jewish community for decades, ever since he was in his early life. Every anti-Semitic attack, anytime there was an issue affecting the Jewish community, his staff was there, number one, standing with the Jewish community in pride. So I see a unanimous vote from the Jewish community. When we look around, we see the Far Rockaway Queens Alliance, the Staten Island community, a lot of other communities.
The number one thing that voters are saying is the obvious, safety. So let's start with the safety. Where do you see the differences between the candidates?
His priority, and I know Eric Adams on a personal level for many, many years, his priority is, as mayor of the city of New York, is to make sure that this city is crime-free. He's been a cop for 22 years, put his life on the line for 22 years, and really, he's so anxious, he's so excited to go in from day one, revamp the police department, make it a fair police. We want a fair police department to all. We don't want any corrupt police officers, of course. We don't want any officers that engage in any kind of racial activity around the country. We need a balanced, with a good budget. Bill de Blasio is a smart gentleman, but anybody that's listening knows that any business in New York, whether you're running a grocery store or a dry cleaning store, and you have the girl at your cashier, but you're not talking to her, you don't have a communication, how could you run a city that way? There's no question that Eric Adams is going to appoint a police commissioner that he's comfortable, that he can call up and say, listen, we need this, we need this, we need this, and get it done. Even before anything else that we talk about, even reduction of crime and whatever he's got to do, you got to have a mayor and a police commissioner in sync together.
So you don't think right now Bill de Blasio's in sync with the
police department has total hate against him. They just can't stand him. I mean, just mention the name Mayor de Blasio to any police officer, they'll just turn around. I mean, they turn their backs on him at funerals, right? They have no relationship. So at least once you have a relationship between the executive branch of government, the mayor's office, and the police department, then together they have one agenda. The agenda is to clean up the city. If you have pockets of crime, to go in there, take care of the homeless, and look at the city. I mean,
do you see this election as reminiscent to Dinkins versus Giuliani?
Well, Eric Adams is not a Giuliani. I mean, he's a very fair guy.
No, I'm not comparing him to Giuliani, but I'm saying he's coming in with the same climate of the problems.
Yeah, I mean,
that's what I'm referring to.
David Dinkins, despite his misgivings, despite his not doing so well, was a fine man, fine gentleman. And, you know, and he didn't have that crazy agenda of Bill de Blasio. And the mayor, I don't understand. The mayor de Blasio is, I've known him for many years with the city council. A smart man, and he knew issues. He knew issues of homelessness.
So where do you think he went wrong? I mean, 7.5 years. Why could he never get it right?
It's either his wife or somebody had an impact on him. But I mean, I don't understand why he wants to leave a legacy this way. I mean, any mayor, strong or weak or right wing or left wing, wants to leave a legacy. What kind of legacy is he leaving? But leave a city that has a budget that's not bled. Nobody knows what happened to $950 million in mental health funds. I was the mayor's commission on mental health. Where is the $1 billion?
If you were asked, if Eric Adams wins and he asks you to come back into government, because that you have a lot of expertise in that issue, mental health, and it's a very important issue right now. Is that something you
I'd be glad to help. I may be not of age to be active in government on a daily basis, but I would definitely advise him. I'm already working on mental health issues. Mental health issues. As a matter of fact, 75% of the racial attacks in New York City that the newspapers right away say, oh, it's anti-Semitic, it's anti-Black, it's anti-Asian. most of these cases, if you speak to the district attorney, these are very severely mental health people. I think he's a decent guy, Andrew Yang, but he's not in touch. He doesn't, you know, they asked him on the debate, how much does a house cost in Brooklyn? He says $100,000. Come on. In Brooklyn, you
The
can't,
toilet in 18th Avenue Park costs more.
you can't even
than
get
the
an
house.
apartment. You can't even rent an apartment and pay $100,000. So
Right.
there's nobody that ever ran for mayor, forget about this race, ever ran, that loves to walk the street and talk to everyone and communicate. Well, nobody seems to know why there was such a early, very early stage of Orthodox Jewish elected officials and a lot of yeshivas and institutions that supported Yang. I mean, they've never done this before.
Right.
You know, they would evaluate the candidate.
Right. It's
Very
like they
early-
jumped in without
very
even
early on and
listening
jumped
to
in
people. Right.
support Yang. Nobody knows why. I have a suspicion it has to do with money and with some private deals that were made with Yang. But Eric Adams is not a stupid man. He's a very, very smart man, a very street man. He knows who was there from day one. He knows who was there. So some of these newspapers that you mentioned, and some of these coalitions that you mentioned, Jewish coalitions that you mentioned, they try to play it both ways. It's okay to support Yang. It's absolutely okay. That's the democratic process. We can go out and support Yang, we can support Wiley, we can support Eric Adams. Don't play that stupid game. If you think that either Borough President Adams or any of us involved with this campaign are fooled by you double playing and double dipping and talking from both sides of the mouth, you know, we know who you are. You've always done that. Our priority now is to elect the mayor, and Eric Adams seems to be a shoo-in. I don't see any other person coming even close to him. And he's going to be a very effective mayor. He's going to reorganize the police department from day one. And I know,
But
Eric
in a
Adams,
way that the police department will be happy. They won't feel like they're being
everybody
attacked.
be there. The people in the black and gray and brown communities that have suffered from the police, from dishonest policemen, they'll be happy. The people will be happy, and the police department will sigh a relief, knowing that they have a boss that has their back. Right now, you have over 60,000 police officers. We have the largest police officers, it's practically an army, which have no respect for the mayor of New York. It doesn't make a difference if the mayor's right or they're right. The bottom line is there's no connection, there's no anything. There's no connection. People are people in the city of New York, including myself and yourself, are depressed. You can't walk in Manhattan, the garbage on the floor. There's never been more garbage.
Graffiti also all over the
There's never
place.
been more crime. You know, small businesses are dying. How can a small business operate today? They were closed for 14 months. The city should just, how could small landlords, and that's one of Eric's key positions, somebody that has a house with 6 apartments, 7 apartments, a small person that worked all his life, and he has a small real estate investment in Brooklyn. You know, he doesn't get any credit for a tax deferment or anything like that. Yet, there's a total rent freeze. That's not fair. How's he supposed to pay the mortgage?
Right.
So you're going to have middle class people.
Oh, it happened already. It's not even going. It
You
happened.
have middle class people in the city of New York that have, you know, put together money, bought themselves a commercial building with 2 apartments and 1 store, or 2 stores and 1 apartment, or a 4-family house, 6-family house. If you can't collect the rent, they pay the mortgage, you can't pay the taxes. You're going to fail.
Right. So, but the bottom line is, you feel that Eric Adams on day one is going to right away have the right people in place.
I think you'd be so surprised, because don't forget, from the primary, which whoever's the Democratic nominee becomes the next mayor automatically. So you still have about 6 months till January
To start putting the right people together. Yeah.
6 months is a lot of time to put together a cabinet. January 1st, he gets sworn in as mayor of the city of New York, and the next day, boom, ready for action, out on the street. Social workers. We don't want city workers sitting in offices. Get out on the street. Sanitation guys work overtime, clean up the street, wash down the streets. And I think, knowing him personally, he's an amazing man, an amazing person. I've worked with his office on various initiatives, blood drives, race curriculums. I work with his office, and they've always been just amazing at the cooperation, not only cooperation, but the love that they love to work with neighborhood corporations and neighborhood organizations. That's including yeshivas and schools. He will do the right thing. He will do the right thing.